What's going on, everyone? This is Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our tournament preview for the 2021 Memorial Tournament. Craig, this is our quick hitting show where we try to give you as much information in a quick period of time. So you're already jumping into it. It's quick hitters. Previous winners here, quite a good selection here. Rahm, Cantlay, Bryson, all with the past 3 wins, and then it kind of drops off a little bit. But we got Hideki there in 2014.
Willie McGirt, David Lingmer.
Hey, Jason Duffner's going to be back, so he's there.
Yeah.
He's there. But obviously, Memorial Tournament, it is kind of Jack's tournament. It's at Jack's Place. It was founded by Jack Nicklaus in 1976. The field includes, it's always a good field. It's one of the better non-major fields. But
it's nice of you to call Mr. Nicklaus just Jack's Place.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty close, so.
Yeah, I got you.
The field does include the top 5 in the FedEx Cup standings right now, or before the completion of Charles Schwab, and then 7 of the top in the official World Golf ranking. But I think it's worth noting, Craig, looking at the previous winners, last year, we were kind of right after COVID restart here. We actually had 2 tournaments back-to-back at Muirfield Village. The Workday Charity Open was right before the Memorial, and Collin Morikawa won that. So it was at this same course, a little bit different conditions, but I think it's worth noting.
Yeah, they set the course up a little bit different, but and so I didn't, just to spoil out what's coming ahead. Essentially, for the model and for DFS projection purposes, I did not include that. But for some of the the horses for courses we'll be doing, I did include the trip to through, what did they call it? The Workday Open or the Workday Classic?
Yeah.
Or
a little bit teaser of what's coming, but I like it. So let's talk about the course a little bit. Muirfield Village Golf Club, Dublin, Ohio, founded by Jack Nicklaus. Basically, right after the completion of the 2020 Memorial, it was kind of torn up from everything I understand. Like, fairways were kind of redone, greens were redone, recontoured even the greens, new bunk green, completely kind of reshaped from everything I've seen. So that's going to be a very interesting topic kind of all the way leading up to Thursday morning. I feel like you got something to say.
Well, I just think one of the most ridiculous things is like this stunting of it, where they had the leaders playing in on the back 9, and they were already up tearing up sod on the front 9. Like, what are you talking about? These hours are so important to you. You couldn't have let these guys have the day off and come in tomorrow morning.
No time to waste. What we got from PGA, it is par 72, 7,500 yards. From Monday to basically Thursday morning, it's going to be very interesting kind of reports on the course, what it looks like, how it's a little bit different. It'll be very interesting to see. But from everything I've heard so far, it's going to be different.
Yeah, I caught a touch of between the coverage today, between the Golf Channel and CBS coverage, there's that 15-minute gap. And they actually had a show on CBS that was essentially a preview and kind of Jack, Mr. Nicklaus, talking through a bunch of the changes that had happened and then some visuals of it. It looks interesting. I think that, it's fortunate they have the resources to be able to continually tweak this thing, but it really allows him to imprint the vision of what he wants in a tournament golf course, and when he starts to see things, the pros are kind of gimmicking a hole, playing it a certain way that's not the intended way, then he goes in there and he changes that, so you can't do that anymore, which it's fun to see.
That's why it's his place. Okay, speaking of the course, you're talking about horses for courses. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so like I said, I did include the Workday, some of the results from the Workday, and as always, the honorable mentions, guys who did not make the cut, but probably I will hear about in the comments below. Jon Rahm didn't make it, obviously. You don't see him there. Last year's winner. 2 other starts aside from that, one being the Workday. He was 27th in the week before the Memorial last year, and then a missed cut. So, just not enough of a body of work there. Bryson, another one who did not make the cut. He was the winner in 2018. His other starts here, he was a missed cut last year, and he had a 22nd and a 38th. So, I don't try to give too much weight to a single win, because otherwise I feel like it's really getting away from this person shows up here and plays above their usual standard every time.
Was that Bryson's gif of him counting? Was that last year? That might have been last.
That might have been last year.
It's right around that time.
One. Yeah. And then lastly, Collin Morikawa, like you had mentioned, he won the Workday Classic, Workday Open. There's so many Workday tournaments these days. Yeah. But then, on to the actual list. Matt Kuchar is right at the top. He won this back in 2013. He's got 16 starts here. So this is purely his longevity here is awesome. 16 starts, 2 missed cuts, 10 times in the top 15,
Wow.
10 out of 16, and then 5 times in the top 5. So really, it's just been a model of consistent finishes. Obviously, as his his
Decline in
ability has fallen off a bit. It hasn't been as good. It was the early 2010s when he was really most dominant here, but still very, very good results. Next up, Patrick Cantlay. So I almost tried to bump Cantlay above Kuchar because he has better recent results, but ultimately Kuchar's body of work just won out. Cantlay was the winner in 2019. He only has 5 starts, but he has no missed cuts. His worst finish is 35th. 3 out of 5 are in the top 10, and twice he's been in the top 5. So he's just been very good every time he shows up at this course. So I think that's going to be very interesting for all you DFSers out there who Cantlay has been a very
controversial topic.
Controversial, that's what I'm looking for. Next up, Hideki Matsuyama, our Masters champ. He was the winner here in 2014 at 22 years old. He's got 8 starts, 2 missed cuts, 5 top 25, so he's done a very good job of getting high in the finishes, and 3 top 6s. So, I do think this course is essentially a second shot golf course, and so that's why you see someone like Hideki up on this list. And then next up, I've got my last 2 here. They're not. Essentially, I tried to look for people who I think are going to overachieve and do so consistently. So Billy Horschel, 8 starts, 2 missed cuts, 5 top 15s, including 3 straight. 2 of his last 3 are also top 10s. Okay. So he's just been. It's less so, he's won this and blah blah blah. It's more just like it seems like every time he shows up, he seems to play well here. And then last up, Justin Thomas. So he has 8 starts. This one's a little tougher to justify because JT kind of hold his standards a little bit higher. 8 starts, 3 missed cuts. But he has been good of recent. So in his last 5 starts here, he's been top 24 times. 3 of those are top 10s, including the runner-up to Collin Morikawa. That was the playoff where they were trading bombs on the 18th hole. Yeah. And actually, even before the playoff, JT had a 8, 9, 10-foot putt to win that thing. And he really kind of let that one get away from him in his last couple holes down the stretch. So I've got JT in there. You can disagree. Let me know below who you think should have been on the list.
I like it. Just like Cantlay, Craig, you're always a little bit controversial. I like it. Okay, so that's horses for courses. Let's talk about guys coming in hot, coming in good form. It's got to be Jordan Spieth. We just finished the Charles Schwab Challenge. He finished second. A little bit disappointing finish for how he played the first few days, but that makes 5 top 10s in his last 6 events. 5 of 6 top 10s coming in, including the win he had early in the season. So Jordan Spieth, I think, is head and shoulders number 1 in terms of his form coming in. Number 2, a guy who had a good showing at Charles Schwab, Charlie Hoffman. Good Sunday. He finished T3.
Also, you're one and done.
One and done.
I'm pretty happy to see that Sunday.
Excited to see what that paycheck is. Yeah, my one and done. Yeah. His T3 though does make 5 straight top 20s. 2 of which were 3rd or better. Obviously, both in Texas, but he's been playing very, very well. 5 straight top 20s. Collin Morikawa is 3rd here. So kind of a disappointing T14 at Charles Schwab, but that does make 4 top 20s in a row. So 4 consecutive top 20s, 2 of which were top 10s. So he is kind of finishing very high, and it is, big events. It's both Masters and PGA. He's playing very well recently. Louis Oosthuizen is number 4, your boy here. It's his first start. So a lot of these guys we did see at the Charles Schwab. Louis Oosthuizen we didn't. He withdrew, but we're going to see him up in Ohio. So he has T2 at the PGA Championship. Very, very good showing there. If we include the Zurich Classic, the partner team event we had a few weeks back where he lost in the playoff, he has 3 straight top 10s, 2 of which were second places. So twice out of the last 3 tournaments, he's been second.
Good old silver slam champ.
Still hasn't won on U.S. soil, but hey, Louis, we're still cheering for you, buddy. Number 5, Emiliano Grillo. He's just been kind of consistent, Craig. Finished T8 at the Charles Schwab, so good finishing in the top 10 this week. He's made 5 made cuts in his last 6, so pretty good consistently kind of getting to the weekend. But 3 of those, so 3 of 6 are top 10s. So half the time he's getting top 10s in the past, couple months or handful of months here. He's half the time he's been top 10ing. So really good kind of recent form from Emiliano Grillo.
Yeah, I think that last one's a very interesting one too, because trying to place him in the golf world, he came out and he was just a hot shot, like looked like he was going to be a superstar, and then the putter was so bad for a little while that you're like, oh, that the ball striking's there, but he's never going to be able to realize the potential. And then now it's starting to, maybe he is going to put the pieces together, because I think he's actually positive putting in the season. Which is a little bit crazy to think.
That is shocking. He did really well this week with his putting, at least through 3 rounds, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to rethink our perceptions of Emiliano Grillo.
Just like Muirfield, he's reshaping himself.
Hey!
Maybe like that.
Okay, next up, first look projections, who the Grandstand Golf model likes. So you can see from this list, if you were to guess the one thing it's looking at, the top 3 really start to give it away. It's
strokes gain approach a little bit?
Yeah, it's a second shot golf course. Strokes gain approach is the most heavily weighted stat looking at past years. Obviously that puts Justin Thomas, Will Zalatoris, and Collin Morikawa in the first 3 slots, because their approach numbers are just, they're kind of in a tier of their own up there. Yeah. And then lastly, we've got Xander and Rahm, who essentially they're just so good at everything they do that they're going to show up at the top of models, even when it's not a perfect course fit for them.
Yeah, it's interesting because, it has changed a little bit. I don't know how that'll shape the model. JT being there, not to discredit the model, Craig, but JT popping again. Is he first? I don't know.
Well, essentially it's a 2-year, like it looks at 2 years. And so there's JT's just, you look at this essentially strokes gained total over the past 2 years, and he's right at the top. And then you combine that with him being at the top of the approach, then a course fit that looks like approach is going to be the one. He's going to be at the top.
And what I just said is kind of the DFS mindset where you get burned once and you kind of forget about them, when that's not what you should be doing.
That's not what you should be doing.
Okay, that leads us to the most interesting man in the field. And this week we're going with Bo Hogue. So, we've had Phil, we've had Spieth, we've had a bunch of big names in this spot. But I'm kind of going back to our roots here and doing some research and giving you kind of a good story to watch out for. So Bo Hogue, 32-year-old, he's playing pretty well this season. He's kind of playing the best we've seen him. He had a 2019 win on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he's playing in the PGA quite often this year. So born in Columbus, Ohio, went to the same high school and college, Ohio State, as Jack Nicklaus. So lots of close ties there. But even closer, his grandfather, Robert Hogue, was a founding member at Muirfield Village. And I think he was a chairman at some point. So really, really connected to kind of the Hogue and Nicklaus family. So they're very closely tied. But so he has played here. He's got sponsor exemptions, that kind of thing, to kind of play here. This will be his 4th appearance. One was the workday, so it'll be his 3rd Memorial Tournament. But of all those kind of 4 times, this is the highest OWGR that he's had coming in. So 257th, it's not exceptionally high, but it's still out there. It means he's kind of half the time he's making cuts. He in the 2021 kind of PGA Tour season. So interesting to see what he does, playing a little bit better at a place that is really his home and has deep roots at.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. Now, I don't think him and Jack Nicklaus were in the same class. I think they were at high school and college at different times, but I'm not positive. Yeah,
a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think if our grandfather would have been a founding member at Muirfield Village, that we would be PGA Tour players? Or
no, but I think I'd be a little bit better than I am
now. Yeah, I don't think that was the linchpin holding us back.
No, I don't think so. So that leads us to our way too early weather forecast, Craig. A little bit of precipitation. We got some showers on Wednesday. Might not play as fast as they would like then. And then rain possibly, kind of 25% or more throughout the weekend. Thunderstorms, some wind. It might be a little bit stop-start. It's going to be a little bit iffy. That's kind of what I'm taking away from looking kind of a week ahead at Dublin, Ohio.
Yeah, now I should note here for all our American viewers, these are in Canadian units. Sometimes Adam forgets to convert over, but essentially mid to high 20s is 80s, 70s, 80s. And
22 is 72 is kind of room temperature.
Yeah. And so I would say, we'll obviously get in from a DFS and betting point of view. We'll obviously get into whether there's a wave favored on Thursday and Friday. It looks like there is potentially some wind, especially more so on Thursday. But like we've said before, when you do deal with thunderstorms and potential delays and everything, trying to anticipate and make your plays only based on when people are going to be on course can become such a dicey game to play.
Yeah, I have to check the weather for outside, for the backyard, and I forget to convert it for Ohio. I'm all over the place.
Hey, no problem. They need to catch up with the rest of the world and get onto Celsius.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure hit that thumbs up. It really does mean a lot, and support our channel. Subscribe to the channel. And, of course, on Monday morning, our podcast does drop. We're going to do a Charles Schwab recap. So make sure to go. Links are below in the description to download our podcast. Give it that 5-star review and listen to our kind of Charles Schwab recap then. And we'll have more Memorial Tournament coming out later in the week. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I also think we'll have to get a little bit into the Brooks Bryson drama on the podcast. So, if you do want to hear the gossip, get caught up on the latest TMZ news, then maybe we'll chat about that a bit.
A little bit of that. All right, thanks, everybody.
See you guys.